pressure on the defending team by making the court larger and forcing them to defend an area outside the sidelines and inline. So as you can see in these clips with the youth national team, they became very adept at navigating the ball around a stationary block and working the edges and working the top of the block and forcing the ball to go out of bounds and forcing the defense to cover an area that's larger than the traditional 9x9 half of a court. So how do you get better at this skill? One drill that we did a lot with the youth national team is we would have a sideline antenna and then put another antenna in from the sideline, maybe 4 feet or the width of 2 blockers. And then the set would put the hitter in front of those 2 blockers, and the hitter had to find a way to score in terms of working off the edges of the block, working off the top of the block, but the ball had to travel between the 2 antennas. And this forces the hitters to become a little bit more creative in terms of how they attack. So I think if you work really hard with your hitters, both in terms of a shot selection, avoiding the block, to spend an equal amount of time working off the edges and off the top of the block, you'll find your hitters being able to handle the situations that they'll face with a stationary block in front of them. So that's today's Art of Coaching Quick Hit. At overload versus isolate and how you incorporate these concepts into your offensive system. In a nutshell, overload means we're going to put multiple attackers in a small area of the court. So as you can see in this sequence, we're putting pressure on the outside blocker, the right front on the opposite side of the net. Do I jump with this quick attacker, or do I stay with the outside attacker that's coming around behind? And what you see is she chose to stay with the outside block or outside attacker. It leaves a seam where the quick attacker no longer has a blocker in front of her, and she scores. Okay, so it puts a lot of stress on the block in terms of can I block multiple attackers in a very quick time sequence. To use overload effectively, you need to have a good quick attack offense. So that forces these blockers to make decisions. Now, when we're looking at the concept of isolate, while an overload's going on one side of a court, I'm going to put a marker here. This attacker on right front is now isolated. So the action's all taking place on the left side of the court, and there's isolation on the right side of the court. So we're going to advance this clip to another sequence. Now we have overload, no isolate. And you can see it's a front row setter. There's no offense from behind the setter. So the overload is now coming in that sequence. And the pressure is now on the middle blocker. What do I do in terms of I have to block the middle and also try to block the outside? She chooses the middle, and there's a big seam to the outside. Again, the speed of the offense is critical for overloading and isolating to be effective. Next clip, it's again overload and isolate, and I've identified the 3 front row attackers. So you can see how the middle attacker is running a quick attack away. The left front's coming around to hit outside. And look at the stress that it puts on both blockers. The right front blocker kind of gets hung up with the quick attacker. The middle blocker never really gets out there. You know, one of the reasons is there's a right side attack, and she kind of has to favor. And then we have kind of a poorly placed block, a big seam. So the overload concept worked very well. So quick attack in the middle, 2 hitters in essence on 1 blocker, and we go from there. Next clip we call a left side stack. All 3 attackers are on the left part of the court, and I'm tracking the right side coming around for a slide. So we still have overload and isolate going on. The overload is with the middle hitter on the 31. The left front's coming around behind and hit a ball on the off the left shoulder of the middle hitter, and the right side hitter's running a slide. So the right side's being isolated, and the blockers on the middle attacker and the left front are being overloaded. So overload, isolate, one-on-one, and we score. So these concepts are very effective when you have a quick attack, and you can put a lot of pressure on the blockers to deal with two hitters coming at you in a very small section of the net. So those are the concepts of overload and isolate as you're planning your offense. So that's this Art of Coaching Quick Hit. Hi, this is Jim Stone with the Art of Coaching, and in today's Quick Hit, we're going to look at running the one set or a quick set out of the middle. First of all, why do we do this? It's somewhat of a riskier set. It's faster. There's less margin of error. But the purpose of a one set is to put a lot of pressure on the middle blocker. And we want to run it fast enough where they have to stay at home with that middle hitter. As soon as they start cheating to an outside attacker, well, now we want to run it fast enough where they have a hard time getting back to block this quick attack. So that's why we run it, just to put pressure on the middle blocker to have to make decisions. Do I stay with that middle hitter, or do I release out to the outside attack? So as you can see in this clip, how the middle blocker is kind of cheating away, and now she can't get back in time to block effectively the quick attack. So let's look at the mechanics of the quick attack. First of all, we want to make sure that the quick attacker stays behind the setter and is right next to the setter. So the middle attacker is responsible for positioning, because every pass is going to be a little bit different. So if the middle attacker can watch the ball being passed, watch the trajectory going to the setter, watch the net location that the ball's dropping at, then they have to effectively move to that spot. So pretty much every quick attack, every one set is the same. It's about 1 foot, 18 inches off the net and about 18 inches above the net, obviously depending on how high your middle attacker can hit. So what you see is the middle hitter's right next to the setter and right off of her back foot. And what you'll also see is as the setter's touching the ball, which is right now, the middle hitter is in the process of leaving the ground, okay? And also you'll notice that the arm is back fast. So her feet are still on the ground, just leaving now, and her arm's already back in preparation to swing at the ball. So the middle hitter has some responsibilities here in terms of locating themselves next to the setter and making sure the arm is prepared for the swing. So now the ball's right out of the setter's hands, and the middle hitter can just swing through the ball. Big swing, and the fact that she's off the net means she can swing all the way through the ball without a fear of hitting the net. So right next to the setter, right behind the setter, big swing, driving the hand through the ball. Here we'll see the timing a little bit more. You're kind of losing the lower half of her body, but notice how her arm, the ball's in the setter's hands and her arm is back already. Then it's good arm swing mechanics. Notice how she rotates her elbow up, drives her hand through the ball. So the takeaway now is making sure that the middle hitter stays back behind the setter. And the biggest mistake that most younger players make when they are learning this set is they lose focus of the ball and they get themselves too tight to the net. So I always tell my middle hitters, watch the ball. Don't watch the setter. The setter is going to be moving. Watch the ball, and the setter will end up wherever the ball is. So if I track the ball, I don't want to start my approach until the ball's kind of at 11 o'clock. That will make sure the ball's in front of me, my body is staying behind the ball, and that will allow me to swing through without hitting the net. So align myself well, track the ball, get that arm back quickly, and I can hit the ball right out of the setter's hands. So those are the basic mechanics of running the one set, and that's today's Art of Coaching Quick Hit. Hi, this is Jim Stone with the Art of Coaching Volleyball. In today's Quick Hit, we're going to look at the mechanics of the slide attack. First of all, why do you run a slide? Generally, we want to try run a slide when we have a front row setter, and I want to create offense behind the setter. So this is a vehicle that allows the middle attacker to run quickly behind the setter, spread the block out, and create some seams in terms of attacking the blockers. If I only attack in front of the setter when I have a front row setter, the entire block can shift over, and in essence we're hitting against only half the net. So we want to try to spread the block out and create some seams in the attack. So as you can see in these clips, what you see is the middle attacker running to the point of attack and then creating a seam. Notice how the middle blocker has a hard time getting there. So the set has to be such where the middle blocker can't get there and just camp out. We're also trying to beat the outside blocker to the sideline. Notice the seam in the block there. So if I can beat the outside blocker to the sideline, it creates a line shot. And if I can get the outside blocker